Hello, good morning. You're watching A New Way of Being, hosted by Avatar Galextra on YouTube Live. I'm very disappointed in the government, in the systems, and how the government is using the systems to abuse and terrorize my body. Also, what has been done to our daughter. Um, I do not believe that this is the way in which people would think that that's how they're supposed to conduct themselves when they're irresponsibly mistreating human beings, stealing, doing whatever they want, and then some of them blaming others, and instead of recognizing that they're harming others. This is about my family and what we have been going through, and why I understand why this is happening to human beings in general. The United States government and run by Mr. Trump has been told to treat human beings in a way in which is undermining the person's right to feel comfortable with themselves, spending their times trying to tell you that you're crazy when they are the ones who have terrorized and persecuted you, and now calling you crazy when they have been setting up all the problems to be created for myself and my family. Mr. Trudeau is supposed to pay us a certain amount of money, and yet Mr. Trudeau has not spoken to us once about when he's going to pay us the money, and we would like the money right away. We have been terrorized in this um, unit, I should call it, motel unit that we're living in. And you know what they have done to our daughter in the past. It's something that should not have taken place in a society and a government that is allowing a president to do this to a human being. Tells me there's something wrong with the government. A government that is doing this to human beings is a government that is not that developed to be running their own lives, let alone the lives of others, or they would not be making the kind of problems that they're creating, and treating certain people of certain nationalities as if they have no right to live, but they do. They need to think very much about the fact that human beings gave them their lives. And some of the people that gave you your lives are people from the African race. Yep, that's what has been done. And you all were given, all different nationalities, given the opportunity to connect properly. And instead, you allow others to walk in, turn over, and say they want to run, to be, what they call you, the servants of the people. And when the time came, the servants turned and started acting like they own the people, and is now going to crucify them for whatever they decide their prejudice rights tells them that they can do. When they're not rights, they're wrongs, violations of the constitutional rights, terrorizing human beings for being a color, destroying others for being a nationality that isn't going to do any damage to anyone if they're treated properly. Every nationality on the face of this earth have not only abilities to get to know themselves better, but also to recognize that their right in their lives are to see to it that they are taking control of what they do and what they say, and do the right things, say the things that you know that are true, and not allow people to force themselves to tell you that you are supposed to do whatever they want you to, while they are setting you up to appear like a criminal in the eyes of the public, robbing you of your right to behave as dignified as you can, and instead finding the same government using Mr. Trump to terrorize our family on an everyday basis when they can. And in between, so far they've been coming every day. The police and duds, they cannot help the public anymore. Maybe they're helping many of you, but they are not helping us, even though we have done nothing wrong. I guess we are the wrong color and the right kind of boss, so they don't want us around. This is not the way we are supposed to be treating each other. I have not mistreated you, not once. You have been mistreating us. Lying and saying that I raped my little sister, big lie, not true. And if you had any kind of integrity, because you are practicing it publicly and allowing people to go and do those kind of things and setting up women to sleep with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, does not mean that all women will do that. Because women, in their true form and their senses, know deep within when something is wrong. Men, they have the big problems because they are now the ones that are the prejudices that are setting up women and people all over the world to go against certain nationalities like us and other nationalities. This should not be going on, ladies and gentlemen. And it's easy for us who don't want to look at the problem to pretend that we don't care by saying it's not happening, and all of that is lies. Not true. If there were lies, you wouldn't see the action of someone who is deeply hurt, angry, and want to let the government know what they think of the government for what they have been doing to them and the family that this person is living has as a family. Why would anyone in their true senses, in their qualities, go ahead along with a government who is using a technology to create all kinds of stuff that Mr. Trump is using, that is pushing into people's bodies, like he did to mine, like he has been doing to mine for decades now, attacking and abusing me for no reason, spending his time trying to tell me how I'm supposed to do things by attacking me when I do the right things. He is inside of the house attacking and abusing, and he gets away with it. Why is a government of the United States that has supposed to have integrity and sense of dignity behaving in such a manner that is undermining the rights of practically everybody because of that kind of tyranny? This is what happens when we practice the wrong kind of thinking, action, and then turn around and control people under those conditions. It is the right of every human being, because they were born free and has dignity within, a sense of integrity, and the kind of behavior to protect themselves and everybody. You won't need protection when everyone is behaving responsibly. But when you set up a whole society to go and sleep with every man all around the world, then what you are really doing is setting up a destruction of the rights of the people to live in a manner in which they feel dignified, respectful, caring, and not worried about those around them. There's no fear. Fear comes from the kind of things that are going on in this society today. How do you expect your life to be a good life if you have governments and systems that they're running set up to control your life to the point where you're doing damage to your own self and others are doing it to you also? And it goes vice versa. How would you like it to know that you're living in a society where you are being marked for speaking out truthfully about wrongs that are being done in a society that has gone mentally ill deep within? And they can't understand it, many of them, because they don't have the time to look at it. They don't have the time to find the ancient knowledge that they're carrying. They're too busy spending their time thinking that their ignorance is perfect, because they don't think further than that. They lost their feelings for anybody by mistreating people across the board. They're working in jobs that are keeping them busy by a government that is holding them as slaves, and they don't even know it. They are being tormented and tortured, some of them, by governments who is using their military and anybody that they could possibly use to terrorize, persecute you, because you don't have the right, you are the wrong nationality. When the same nationality gave you all, of all different nationalities, your lives. Stop to think who you might be attacking, because you might be attacking someone that is your mother, if it's a female, that is your father, if it's a male. If it's a God, then you are attacking a God that gave you your life and can take it away in a second. And yet, this God has done nothing to you. She just listened to your ignorance. Find it so mentally disabled, and that's why the society is killing people out like nobody's business, because you don't realize that that kind of thinking takes you to levels of behavior and abuses, like using a military against a family. What did the family did to the government? The government has been doing all the abuses to the family, killed out 5 members of the family and possibly 2 more. They don't want this family to leave this country to go and see the family, because guess what? They have created this number that they call some sort of, what is the name of it? Oh, can't even get to tell you what they're wiping out. This illness that people are getting today, the virus, they wiped it out of my memory. But the COVID, yes. We have to recognize what is going on, or else y'all are going to go down even further. And you know the problem is, even the innocent will go down with you, because you are creating that problem for them. Start thinking about the rights of all beings, so that you can now find yourself living in a world that works for everyone and is not a problem to anyone. When you start practicing those behaviors that does not undermine anyone, and you show people that you do care because they are your family, no matter what nationality they are, then what you are doing is saving your world and all its inhabitants. When you practice the ignorance that is dominating and destroying people all around the world, you are practicing evils that are destroying your whole world, and you're participating in it willingly without even knowing that you're pulling yourself down under, as well as taking others with you. What Mr. Trump has been doing to this family, had I done one area of it, they would be coming with their handcuffs to put me in jail, and my family too. They're the ones who are allowing this kind of stuff because they're participating in it. They want to make sure you're controlled, and they do not have the development to control you. Because if they had any development, the right kind of development, they will not be trying to control anyone. Instead, they will be showing the quality of life through how they behave. And when others grow through that, the parents training them, the children, the kids grow up naturally knowing how to assert themselves in ways in which they can't do now, because they have not been given the qualities of life, and they have a system who is blocking these kids from being trained, and they're using their systems to kill like crazy. You need to start dealing with the problems that are in your society, and stop listening to a government that is lying to you, and you can see right before you the kind of things that they're practicing. They do not care anymore who sees, because they know they're getting away with it. Because the people in society that are responsible for seeing to it that their lives are protected, respected, and so are their children's, you wouldn't have governments doing this kind of insanity, bringing military to attack people in wherever they're living in the country, even if they're not doing anything wrong. Is this the kind of behavior that we are supposed to get from a government and a society that is just falling apart by its seams while they're being robbed and do nothing about it, while they see others go down in life and no one cares? That's not the real you. The real you would care. Not only will you care, you will take action to stop that. Not to kill, not to harm, but to have the government be made responsible for what they're doing and tell them they cannot run a country, and no government should be running any country, because people will have to learn how to run their own lives and behave responsibly. And there will be people in the country making changes to stop these kind of problems, and those who are behaving irresponsibly has to be told the government must make changes in its own actions to the rights of all beings. And if it's not being done, then you are being robbed of the quality life that you have a right to live. Then you are being robbed of the opportunity to be your greatest selves. How can you get there when you're allowing a government that has some mental illness and is busy pointing people out as if they're crazy when they have done nothing to anyone except having the government torment and torture them using different people in the society to help them to do it? This is what is going on in the society today, ladies and gentlemen. We know that there are crippled people in many ways in how they think, and the fact that they don't see the problems simply because they're a part of it. They don't see the problems because they do not want to look at the problems that are before them showing itself. When you don't look at the problems, you can't find answers to them, and so you can't force those newborn answers that you just created out of a thought to get the problem out of the way, rather than see if that works or not, and making sure that you you use information that is beneficial to, so the problems will be solved and you can now live in a better way. Stop terrorizing human beings that has done nothing wrong to you, and even the ones who are, they are learning from you how to behave in a manner in which destroys. It's a destructive way in living. It's not beneficial to anyone. If you really want to live, everyone must learn to live with integrity and respect to all of life. No one in life should be disrespected. No one in life should be pointed out by ignorant governments telling people to say that something is wrong with you when the government has the problem. The government has the problem because they are creating scenarios and setting up people to behave in ways in which no one should be allowed to get away with. And a lot of people have been put in jail for things that they really didn't do. And sometimes the governments are involved in what is going on, even in that situation. And it's protected by those that they control. I know because I have been there, not in the jails, even though, yes, they put me in there once to intentionally to try to see if they can turn me into a criminal, feeling that they should torment and torture me. Just like when I was going to the jobs and going to work and feeling very happy about working, because I always loved working, and going to the jobs and finding persecution there. On the way to the jobs, persecution. This is not the way to live. This is not the way to treat human beings. And when your government is a part of this and doing so, and the people, the public is also a part of it, then changes must be looked at and made. You don't have to live this way, and nobody should be forced to live under this kind of evil. There are ways to live that is beneficial to everyone. When you are behaving irresponsibly and harming another, making them feel unhappy, trying to attack and abuse at different times, persecuting to whatever area of persecution you decide to use to terrorize, these are things that should not be done. And when human beings find that they're not being treated that way, well, that's okay. But when this is going on, then what you're doing is destroying the rights of other people. And when a government is practicing it, you, the people, have the right to look at the situation, find out what is happening, why it's going on. And when you see that it's wrong, then of course you have to now speak to the government as a people to have this kind of scenario that should not be a part of the life of any human being be stopped, or they will be put in jail, like they were doing to the innocent people that they were putting there for being a color. This is what many people were being put in jail for, being a color. The same color that gave all nationalities their color. Why would this kind of behavior be taking place towards a God who gave you all your lives through whoever brought you into the world? And for those who were brought into the world, of course, you were given your lives. When you spend your time telling people how they're supposed to see things, and you do not have the intelligence to know how to think, and because of it, you're coming up with all these twisted ideas that blocks the rights of other people to deal with the scenarios that brings people together so that they can understand what they don't want in their lives that is destructive and malnourishing the development of other people. Let your government know this. Look at the problems. See what I'm telling you and if it's correct. If you don't see the wrongs in it, then it's obvious that you're not looking at it. Mr. Trump has been coming in here day and night at different times, probably sending others too, and attacking and abusing this family. They are using the motel owner, the motel people, and wherever we go, it seems also wherever we go through the streets, we are being marked and terrorized. Why? Because they know that I am a God. That's one of the reasons that I'm being attacked in the first place. And two, because they want people to see me as something less than they are. And because I won't show that, because that's not me, instead, I will educate you. And that education, if you're smart enough, you will stop and listen so that you can learn and find yourself living in a better light than the light that you have, which is not really light, it's more or less fog. Man needs to grow up and recognize that they have to start doing better thinking and stop controlling women by telling them how to do and what to do, and then finding out that these women are doing things that should not be good and should not be allowed in a society. Women, you have lost your way. You allowed men to control you. And through that control, you're making all kinds of mistakes. You're even attacking the sisters that would be there for you since the men haven't been there for women in the first place. Women has to learn how to be there for all beings. Start with the women first. Train the children properly. Be there for these kids. The kids need you. Because when their mind is shaped in a way in which their thinking is clear, understandable, caring about all beings, respecting everyone, these children will grow up to be some of the superior beings in the future, simply because the past already has some real bad problems. You need to start looking at the problems that are being created and stop denying what is going on in your society. Once you start doing these things and you start looking at your brothers and sisters from a point of view, you're seeing the aura around them and they are seeing the auras around different people too. You will realize that you're more developed than you thought you were. You can now use the information of your development to, when people ask questions, you can think clearly about what they're asking and then find the answers through what they told you. Then you can speak to them and give them the answers that would be beneficial to them. These are some of the things that we can do to upgrade our whole society and help the people in the land to behave responsibly. by treating them properly, by making sure they are not being unfairly treated by the society. These are the things that all of us have to do. We can't leave it for the other person, because if we do, the other person may not care about you at this time. But in the future, all beings will recognize why they need this kind of life to live, and how they can live in a happy, pleasant, respectful, highly developed way. But we must come together as a family to deal with the issues, rather than sit back and act ignorantly and think that because the system's told you one thing, that that's the way it is. I am a God, and I'm here to help all of you, because I saw what was lacking in the society, and many of you have. The only problem is I am acting upon it, and many of you have not acted upon it because you don't think it's important to bother with it. And it is important. Look where it has led us. Look at the kind of evil that is taking place. Look at the controls men have over women. Women, you gave birth to these men, and they are now controlling you. You need to start doing your own thinking so that you can accumulate the wealth that you have within. Start looking at the truth and dealing with the truth, so that we can all connect in a way in which upgrades all of society, than pull everyone down under the lacking in quality. You're beings of living light. You're not junk. You're beings who have the right and the mentality to be great beings. The only difference is that you need to get access to your greater self. And you can't get that by fighting people and playing games and walking around thinking you're superior and you know it all, when your God is giving you the information and you don't seem to recognize what you're getting. Well, some do. I know that. Mr. Trump has been inside of here attacking and abusing. He and Mr. Trudeau are working together. We would like to have Mr. Trudeau pay us what they owe us, and Mr. Trump to pay us what the United States owe us for what they have done to us all of my life, or most of my husband's life, and all of our daughter's life. They raped our daughter, Mr. Trump and Mr. Trudeau. And they also Mr. Trump controlled Mahogany's life, blocked her from being able to keep her slender body that she worked so hard to get, and then turned around and force fed her with her own money, using for her to buy different cakes and so on. She was very young and she was scared of him, and he was using that technology to control her. And she ended up doing what he wanted and gained all that weight. These are the things that Mr. Trump was doing to her. Meanwhile, he was literally, what do you call these things when you threaten? Was threatening our daughter. Now, these are the things that needs to be looked at. Maybe people don't realize that a lot of people are going through these kind of things. But for those who are aware of it, I hope that you are participating in having people recognize the wrongs that are being done when they practice this kind of behavior. We need to start looking at things from the point of view where when you see someone angry, hurt, and terrorized, remember one thing. They're not born that way. They become that way through persecution of others. This is what takes place. And for those who don't think I'm a god, you know something? It doesn't really matter. I really don't care what you think of me. But anyone who knows me, anyone who knows about me, know very well who I am. I notice that men that are underdeveloped are very easy to make decisions upon people that they don't know very well. And they control women to think the same way. But when the women start thinking for themselves, they will be able to access their greater knowledge. Men have problems with that because they're in control of women and other species. Women are now going to become in control of their own lives and start doing the things that they know that are right, that works for everyone and protects all of life. So the men who think that all they have to do is just stick their tails in other people. I'm sorry, I'm very angry about this. And start thinking again, because after a period of time, the women will become so developed, you won't be able to do what y'all are doing to them right now. And you will have to recognize that there are changes you're going to have to make it if you want to connect with the women, rather than give people impressions that someone that is telling you about the wrongs that you're doing is something is wrong with them, or they would not be telling you. It's the right of all beings to tell when someone is doing something wrong, especially when it can affect the whole society in a bad way, which is happening right now. And that came from the fact that others were forced to become that way by the persecutions they were receiving, just like me, just like my family. I speak out because I'm a god, but then you don't know what gods do. So how the heck will you know who is a god? And this comes for the people next door, because they are spending their time attacking the people in the streets who think that they have a right to be able to mistreat and get away with it. I am not a god according to how another person thinks a god is supposed to be. I am a god who is here to give you information, to upgrade you so that you can grow in a way in which you're not growing right now. You're just growing, but not in development that is beneficial to you and everybody else. Instead, you're growing into a lot of the evils because they're forcing these things in movies. They're forcing these things in stories that are being told. They're forcing these things in places that you're going to watch on television. So it's important you become educated in the information that is needed to benefit yourself and the qualities of everybody else. My name is Avatar Galextra, and I'm a different species. That's one of the reasons Mr. Trump and the United States of um, sent him to disfigure my mouth, make sure that I become deaf. Also, attack me in the eyes so I can't see very well. This way, they can get away with whatever they were doing to the people. But that did not, it worked, but not very well and not for long. Because, as I said, I'm a God. I'm a God who cares about all beings, but I'm a God who is very angry from what has been done to me and many others, including my family. These are the things that needs to be looked at, ladies and gentlemen. If you find that there are people in the world that are behaving irresponsibly, leave them alone and let them go ahead and behave ignorant if they want to, because the time will come when those who are developed enough to know when something is wrong is going to tell them in a large group. They will have to stop it. But for now, I want you to know, because you have the right to the development as everyone does. And for those who don't have it, and because they don't want it, they're going to find themselves creating a lot of problems. So the job that all beings have here in this world is to define the qualities and make sure that everyone is practicing these qualities that benefits the rights of everybody. I have been pushed, and so my behavior normally is not that of looking to fight, but saying it calmly. But because of what has been done to me, because Mr. Trudeau owes us in the billions, and Mr. Trudeau is not handling things in a manner in which isn't the right way. You see, when they want us to send things to tell them when we will do this, when we will give them that, when we will, we have to give them that information. But when we are asking from the government does not want to give us the information. Why? Why aren't we allowed the right to be able to get information that is our right, when, especially when You need to have that in order to function in the world. You need to have information on the different areas so that when you function in the world, you're not being ignorant. You have the intelligence, you have the adaptability, and you also have trust. And the trust comes from everyone behaving responsibly. When you're not behaving responsibly, don't expect trust. This is what's going on in your society. So, as human beings, because of what your government is saying, that we cannot get help from the police. The police are like duds. The only person that can get help is the government and the people that they have attacking and abusing us on an everyday basis. You're going to find out who they are after a while. I know that. But for now, the only thing that I can do is tell you, and the truth will open itself to you after a period of time. Then they will understand why prejudices are not very good for people, because it causes people to behave ignorant. But when you are terrorized, and I am who I am, and I've been terrorized even at birth, they tried to kill me. The United States knows who I am, so I really don't give a damn if you all do or don't. They're aware. That's one of the reasons that they're doing what they're doing. So all I can tell you is this for the public. Mr. Trudeau, we would like to have our money and we would like to have it right away, because you caused us a lot of problems not having money to be able to use to do different things that we needed to do. And you treated us as if we have no choice. We have to stay inside. And then on the same level, you're sending people to tell us about going to work when we were going on to your work and we did not fail to go. We were being abused. When we were coming back, ongoing, we were being abused. When we were going to different businesses to try to have them recognize what we're going through, we were being abused too. And when we got to the places, I was working as a model, same problem. Different jobs that I worked in boutiques, same problem. I did the movies, I was being attacked and abused. And it's a long story where my husband is trying to put it all together in information for the public to know what was happening to us, especially myself and our daughter. And they tried to kill my husband on 3 occasions. While doing that, trying to come on to me when I went to the doctor, went to the hospital to be there with my husband while they did all of this to him. Mr. Trump was coming here and tried to kill him on 3 occasions. Mr. Trump has been trying to kill me all of my life. Well, part of it, not the part in Trinidad, because in Trinidad, someone else was working on behalf of the United States government. They were the ones doing the damage and saying that we were test subjects. Well, we have been persecuted in different places too. We have been persecuted in the United States, at least I have, and I've been persecuted in Canada. And they made up stories and said things that were lies, and when they saw the lies weren't truth, they had to give it up. We need our lives back. We cannot sit back and allow people, wherever we go, to spend their times listening to Mr. Trump and then coming to threaten and persecute us. The United States government set this up with Mr. Trump. They gave him executive privilege to do that to people of color because he's prejudiced against people of color. That's what we have been going through. And we would like to have this kind of stuff stopped. And we are staying in a motel right here. You can see the door of the motel. And every now and then, not every now and then, all through the day and night, they have Mr. Trump or the people in the motel that Mr. Trump is getting to help him. Using that technology, they have them come up here and attacking me on the neck. I have pain in my neck. I'm sort of paralyzed there. On top of my head, Mr. Trump filled up this part of my head with mucus. And right after he did that, I could feel it while it was going over. And then when I got rid of it, he managed to come and do the same thing on this side from the back of my neck in order to have me go through problems when I tried to move. Even mild movements was extreme pain. So I had to work on it till I get rid of those areas. And now it's back again, but in not as bad as it was before, but bad enough. Also, being attacked in the womb regularly, every single day, practically, and being attacked in the shoulders, different parts of the body, so that I can't uh, work out, trying to do me in coming into the bathroom while I'm taking a shower, using the motel people, sending the police to when I called the police and they came, they gave me a hard time to come. But when they did come, they did not care about what we were telling them because they were all a part of it. They were calling for the military. And while they were calling for the military, and I was watching something on television that was supposed to tell me when they're going to pay me my money, they were saying the military is going to come in. And I was feeling attacks and abuses all over my body. I would like to know, why is this allowed to take place? Why is a government allowing this kind of insanity to take place? Tried to drown our daughter when she was a little girl. Terrorized her as an adult. Raped her as an adult. Cut off all her hair. Our hair was long past my waist, just there. They cut off all my hair. Mr. Trump, while I was sleeping. These are the things that has been happening. Also, too, not only did he do that, the two sides of my head is stunted because of what Mr. Trump did to my head. They were here last night attacking and abusing me viciously. So I had to, my husband was spraying to help me, to protect me. And then when I got up, when my husband came and lie down, went to sleep because he was tired, I came out, I got up and I was being attacked from my head to my toe. This is the kind of stuff that they're doing to my body. And these are the things that they're doing to my family. We would like to speak to someone with integrity that knows the rights of people, and hopefully you would not be discriminative, because you need to recognize that these people kill out 5 members, probably 7 members of my family. 5 members, I know that for a fact. And they need to pay me the billions that I'm asking for, because it's my right, since they put me through hell since I was born till now. And this deformed my mouth, deformed my hearing, my eyesight, my body, the knees, every joint in my body, the ligaments in my body, attacked and abused. Raped using that technology. You go outside, it's persecution. That send up females to play around with my husband. Even the people next door are behaving that way. We're behaving that way. I'm very disappointed to see the caliber of people, because this is not what they were supposed to be like. Now I'm hearing men are raping children, babies. Why? Why is this allowed? And Mr. Trudeau, I would advise you ring me today. You have my number, my husband's number, and because we need to get our money, and we need to get out of your country, because your country is trying to kill me intentionally, because you owe me that much money from all the abuses all through my life in Canada and the United States. People actually in Canada, they told me when I just came in, they told me that they're waiting for me. And I asked whom. I said, I don't know anyone here. They said that the United States, the Canadian government, and the United States government are in league with each other. And so the United States government had done me in while I was there. And the Canadian government, that when I was coming to Canada, they told the Canadian government to treat me as a terrorist. I never acted like a terrorist. They were terrorizing me in the United States. They had someone beat me up in a Macy's department store. I want these looked at. And before you send an army to come and attack the same people that these people were persecuting for so many decades, so many lifetimes, well, not lifetimes, please, I went a little far there, so many decades. You need to look at the problems truthfully and pay the money because it was done to me and my family. We have harmed no one. We never did anything to anyone. And yet these people were saying that I'm a mental case. You could only be a mental case if you're being terrorized in the society night and day by a government that sets up people to do these things to you and gave Mr. Trump the executive privilege to attack and abuse people like us intentionally, and more specifically me because of who I am. We want our lives back. Now, pay us our money because we really don't care what anybody else think, because they haven't lived the lives that we have lived. They haven't suffered the way I have been suffering, and my children have been suffering, and my husband suffered. None of you cared when they were tormenting us in the hospitals because the government told them to do that to us because we wouldn't do what the government wants that was not right. And I can't remember what it was. I'm worried about the kids. I'm worried about the women. I'm not worried about the men because the men are the ones who are creating these problems for trillions of people in the world. I don't even know if I have a country anymore. Who knows? Maybe they're affected by the things that the government might be telling them that are not true. But anybody who knows us know the kind of people we are. Those who don't know us, they will say anything. Their ignorance will just show out. And some people, they're just beautiful human beings. When you see them, all the eye contact alone tells you that they are fabulous people. I've met quite a few like that. So I'm not saying that all people of certain of the Caucasian and European race are bad. I've met many that I are fantastic people, and I'll be the last to say that about them. I'm speaking about those that are behaving that way, those in the system. Some of them are even in the culture, in the different cultures, are prejudiced because of what they're being told to do to people like us, for instance. Um, I'm not someone who goes out to hurt anyone. I'm someone who fights to protect the rights of myself, and in doing so, I see to it other people's rights are being protected. Because what we do comes right back to you, me, and you. It's important that we're there for each other. I have some songs that I created with my husband. Actually, it's my songs, but he wrote down the information for me because most of the times I was blind, couldn't see very well. Um, Now I can see, but still not good because of what Mr. Trump did and all those he was bringing here to do us in. Could you believe this? A government from the United States and Canada will be partaking in something that undermines its citizens that have done nothing wrong to anyone, but is being treated like they're criminals without having done any wrong. The most wrong I did was speaking out loud. We need changes in this society. We need people who care about their children, about the children of others, and how they're going to grow up in the world if we do not care enough to make sure that none of us are doing wrongs that will undermine these children's development in the future and in the present. Y'all are my family. I love you a lot. I know I haven't been treated well enough to say I love you, but I still love you. Why? Because you're my family. Let's put it that way. I wish you the best. I want everything good to happen to you. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So don't worry about my anger. It's not to harm anyone. My anger is more or less something that has to come out in order for me to release it so that I can then live again as I used to be, quiet, reserved, and speak with dignity. I wish you all the best. I want you to know that this family, we love you very much. We love all of you. We just want you to recognize that we have to make changes so that everyone is living in a better way. I want to see the children happy and safe. I want to see the women safe and not controlled. I want to see the men holding their own in how they behave rather than think that they're superior to anybody. Because if they were, they would have the answers to all the problems that I'm showing them, and they would not make changes because they're so superior. Blessings to all of you, okay? Good luck and have a great life. Live to the best of your ability and don't let people control you and tell you what you can and cannot do if you're not doing wrong. For your own body, whatever you want to do, you have a right to. No one has a right to tell you that you should go to jail because you did something that you shouldn't do that you have a right to. And they have no right to do anything about it because you're not hurting anyone. You're not giving it to people. It's only to you. And that's the right of all beings. And you know something? If you won't be terrorized and persecuted, you won't want all of those things. You'll feel very natural and calm and heavenly and caring. I wish you the best, all of you. I don't want to see you in a situation where you don't know how to think, you don't understand that you have all of this beautiful information within you and you can access it, and all beings are great and they're born from gods. Don't give up on yourself, huh? Work on all the greatness that you have. Get to know you first before you get to know others. So that when you meet them, you know more about you, and so you can treat them well. They will get to know you and treat you well too. Blessings to all of you, and I wish you the best. I hope this information doesn't make you feel hurt. Instead, that it makes you recognize that we all have to look at the things that we're doing so that we can grow better and teach others the right way. The children need us very, very much. Please protect them, don't hurt them, huh? Good luck and take care. Love you all. Bye bye. Um, Andraggon, driver. Oh, Mahogany, since you're up, could you have me take this off, please? Save it and take it out. Okay. You want it? Sure. Okay, go ahead. But isn't that beautiful skin? Okay, go ahead. Sit there and just save it first. Before you go down, before you do that, sit there so you can be comfortable and know what you're doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spoil it for me. I want that saved. Okay, sure. Can you save it for me, please? Yes, can do. Thank you. Well, copy and save, sorry. Thank you. Yeah.